First of all, I want to say thank you so much to Matt and Nicole, who helps run the series, and Marie Bilodeau, who of course unfortunately is not here tonight, who all of them put so much work into this, and I could not be more thrilled to have them running this show. And I was super excited when I forced Matt to, when Matt invited me to read here. Yeah, it's totally by accident. I'm also super excited to be in balmy Ottawa, coming from Toronto. So that was really exciting too, because it's practically tropical here compared to how it is in Toronto. And I bet you never thought anybody would ever say that. Yeah, so I'm going to be reading, I'm actually reading poetry tonight, which mostly for people is like, oh man. So I will tell you in advance that you should applaud after every poem, otherwise it is super awkward for me. And also I will tell you how it is at all poetry readings, which is everyone sitting in the audience going, is the poem over? Should I applaud? I don't know what I should do. I wish she'd say it was over. Fuck me, is there more liquor? Because that's how all poetry readings are, with somebody going, oh moon, oh lonely moon. And I'm going to do exactly that. And in the immortal words of Paul Stanley, tonight, I'm going to give it all to you. No Kiss fans? No. Anyway, so this very first poem is in fact called The Moon, and it's from my book, here's shameless plug, Come Late to the Love of Birds, which is over there for sale, is not introduced by Neil Gaiman. In fact, he did the introduction for my other poetry book, The Animal Bridegroom, which is now sold out solely because Neil Gaiman wrote the introduction, not because of anything I did. Anyway, so here's the first poem, The Moon. This one's for Neil Armstrong. The moon, round as my grandmother's pearl buttons, has moved closer to the earth. Astronomers are in talks with world leaders trying to understand the phenomenon. Their best people are on it, we're assured. Perhaps it's not physics, the push and pull of atoms, of solar wind or decaying orbits. Perhaps the moon, without an atmosphere, its round, pocked face always sad as a teenager. Perhaps the moon has been lonely too long and merely wants to shrug closer to the earth, that jeweled brightness, a beacon in the star-hinted void, a friendly blue and green face in the whirling darkness. All right, now I'm going to go to some unpublished things, and I will apologize whenever I read this poem. I devolve into a weird Western accent, so I apologize in advance. And there's an epigraph at the start of this poem by the writer Carrie Tennis, and it is, as you ask the questions of being, you check things off the list. No, I am not a dolphin. No, I am not a horse trader. No, I am not the King of Prussia. And the poem is called Last Words of Howard Buck Buchanan, Arizona, 1876. I am not a horse trader, though I once tried to earn a living as such. I am not a gunslinger neither, nor a bank robber, no matter what they say. I'll admit to some thieving and whoring in the Dakotas, but that's all. Thought of robbing the Deadwood stage once, but there were obstacles. Never owned a horse fast or steady enough, for one thing. I am not the King of Prussia. I am not some maudlin piece for you to admire or condemn in the early part of the morning before the sun has beaten you flat. Saw a 20-foot cactus once, 2 great arms lifted high, a prickly preacher giving out blessings to the scorpions. I am not a dolphin, though I saw one years ago off the Gold Rush coasts, his sleek, cool hide flashing between the waves, his dark eyes intelligent in the deep. Caught a rattler yesterday, good eating on a snake, but my belly wouldn't take it. I am not filled with malarkey. No, that is a lie. I lie. I am filled with malarkey and malaria and malodorous thoughts. I have met one-eyed con artists in the desert where they masquerade as trickster gods or coyotes or both. The desert is clean. You can hear the vulture's soliloquy as it spirals down to its perfect conclusion perched on your chest. In the purple distance, the echoing songs of sharp-hooved mountain sheep ratchet through stony peaks. Jagged silhouettes shadow the valleys in the failing afternoon. Where is my gallon, my spectacle, my oasis? Where is the miracle hand to withdraw me from this flat, dry death? I will answer the questions of being. I am a dolphin and a horse trader and the King of Prussia. I am the Horse Rouge Red of the sun dropping the last time. I am full of the desert, as the desert is full of me. Did you notice how my accent got thicker by the end? This one's called Old Lions. We are old lions, rising creakily out of bed each morning. Even the elasticized waistband of our pajamas has gotten loose as decaying molars, loose as old love. We can barely keep our paws on our walkers, and our tails keep getting caught in the elevator doors no matter how slowly they close. The nurse denies us antelopes at every turn, says our teeth aren't fit for gnawing bone or rending organs. It's nothing but jellied eels and terrible soup. Our claws are clipped every 2 weeks, and we're bathed for fleas on Sundays before church, whether we need it or not, because we need God, but not fleas. It's an awful thing to be a retired lion. The memories of Africa, the veldt, the dusty wind over grasses, the heat death of small mammals. We've been removed from the food chain and the chain reaction and the great chain of being. We've been removed from moons and constellations and acacias. We've been removed from the teeth and claws of love, the furious, earth-shattering roar of love. But we're old lions, wanting to spring on a gazelle, the worst surprise of all, wanting to stalk the tall grasses, rest under a sun-heated tree, wanting the hunter, the red bliss shot of home, that final bursting gift. So I read a bunch about animals and fish and shit. So this is called, before anybody says, yes, it's about whales and whales are not fish, yes, I know. This is called Specializing in the Prehistory of Whales, and I will tell you that this came from a misreading or mishearing of mine. Well, no, misinterpretation of mine, I guess. Because Brett was reading something about an ancestor of it, or some other notable savory, who specialized in the prehistory of whales, so I assumed it meant whales in the ocean. It was Wales the country, which was much less interesting than I thought. I was like, oh, that's so disappointing. And then, so I thought I'm going to write a poem about the actual whales with an H. So this is Specializing in the Prehistory of Whales. Look how big you've gotten, you whale-faced whales. You used to be the size of dogs, snuffling about the riverbeds of Central Asia, rooting in the mire of millennia and awaiting the arrival of horses and cattle, people and pyramids, the rise and drop of Khans to come on the horizon. There was a point when you said, no, the land is not for me. And you packed up your steamer trunks and your charabancs, waterproofed your trousers, and moved to a fully marine lifestyle, a backstroke differential of being. We know you from prehistoric literature, written in wave form on the seabed, near the lure of the Marianas Trench, where you have thrown your old teenage diaries in a fit of pique. You threw away your ideas about becoming even-toed mammals and said no. No, you said no. Feet are the devil. Let us become large and sleek, able to turn on the axis of both hot and cold currents, the great tsunami of all future waves cascading at once into a premonition of what could have been. No, you said. You would not be small. You forsook your prehistory and your evolution and your biblical records and shook off benign predictors and the marketing trends of fellows and pinstripe towers and did your own thing. You became the whales we know and don't know today, the zeppelins of the sea, who with each roll near the surface cast one eye, then the other to the heavens, a great slow blink, tip of the hat to starlight and sunlight, to reflections and memories of land and land-born things, to us with our measured instruments, small in our whale-shaped boats. This one is based on something the author Michael Rowe, he wrote Wild Fell, which is actually a ChiZine book, and he said this in an interview, and I love these lines so much. He said, "The body is our first haunted house. We live in it. We haunt it. We are literally our own ghosts." So I wrote this, The Secret History of the Human Body. What if you are the cuckoo in your own nest, the haunter of your own body? You feather yourself with diadems and strange moonstones, things that reflect, tether you to this odd house, this flesh architecture. You open the door of your mouth and creep out on the doorstep of your tongue, scurry back down your own throat, linger like a cold fricative. The flickering lamps of your eyes go on and off without intervention. That knocking in your head, your own hollow steps, from frontal lobe to medulla oblongata. You disappear from your body if anyone looks too closely. Cultivate the stories, the sparse mythology of empty premises, fingers that move by themselves. You become that strange presence felt by others, the icy spot in the room, your own breastbone. Late at night, you take your own hand in the darkness, deny that it is you. So October is my favorite month, not least because it's my birthday month, but just there's all manner of wonderful things, and of course, Ray Bradbury is a huge influence on me. So here is October Prayer. Leave the gravest stone unturned, cancel the roundest moon in the sky, turn to the warmth of the steam pipes, their vipers hiss a bomb to the senseless. Spurn each long shadow on the ground, each inkwell full of October poems and murky fall carnivals. Ignore the hairy cries of wolves and half-wolves and things lurking for attention in the wood. Embrace instead the crackle trap of the fire, the gleam of the brass andirons and squeak of the earth globe turning in the library. Drift on pipe smoke and apple pie order, toasted toasts and chestnuts, nuzzle in velvet slippers and nannies warmed on the hearth. Possess the possessed and render them bereft of their squalling demons, their sniveling red devil shoehorns and porridge bile excretions. Out with spots, damned or not, out with witches and stitches and glitches between worlds, blockade the doorways, disallow elder gods and younger monsters, hooded dragons and snouted assassins, and all things bumping and burping in the night. Give us not these mulberry dreams and chrysanthemum visions, but give us our parchment of dried memories, our curling photographs. Lead us not into imagination, but deliver us from our thoughts. Give us this night and 1 year's continued freedom from October and all its awful wonderment. So I'm going to end with, when I was a kid, I loved comic books. They were my secret fetish because I knew my mother wouldn't like it if I read them. So when I found out my friend's brother had a steamer trunk full of them, needless to say, I was over there all the time. And I didn't really care for the army comics, but man, I loved those horror comics. And he had this whole series of Boris Karloff ones. And there's this one that I remember very, very clearly about the chameleon creature. I read that story and I could not sleep for a full week. So this is my homage to that. Boris Karloff, Tales of Mystery, number 78. The chameleon creature. It could be anything, waiting to strike from anywhere. It could be in the closet that's open, just that one dark crack. Or maybe under the bed, eyes glistening with a nightlight reflected fear of 1,000 children. It could be in the bed, right under the covers, its terrible snout pressed up into your back, keen as a lover. It could be the bed itself, the ultimate betrayal. Size is irrelevant, conservation of matter and energy, a myth of the modern era. The chameleon creature can be anything, a teacup, a tree branch, a chandelier, a giant boulder. The boulder at the edge of the cliff that you chase the creature over, maybe. The one with the bloodstain on its side, the creature brushed by the boulder, or the creature is the boulder. Like an idea you thought was long dead, the chameleon creature simmers in your memory just when you thought you'd won, when you thought all your eggs were safe in any basket you chose. That thing will come back in the guise of a lollipop or a hurricane and snap the teeth right out of your head. It's the boulder, isn't it? It's the boulder. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe all thoughts should be stood on their heads at least once each day. Maybe a creature who can be anything is nothing. Each existence a fleeting shape to be abandoned. Kablooey! Just like that. The chameleon creature is a shoe, is an inkwell, is a window, an omnibus, a headband, a coffee table. The creature is just trying to eat you, or maybe just eat itself, be itself, if it knew what that was. It bleeds red because you want it to. It assumes a mistaken identity because that's what you know. You know all identities are mistaken ones. All shapes are wrong and are assumed under false pretenses. Teacups and chandeliers are the false fossils of your own history, not the creature's. Maybe it's a mind reader and is therefore unhappy. Maybe the creature just wants some alone time. It wants its own teacups and chandeliers. It wants time to consider, time to be something, to choose. Open the closet, look under the bed. It's probably nothing. The chameleon creature is, but it isn't. There is only you and your own small stories by flashlight. There's only the mystery at the edge of the cliff. Go outside. Go ahead. The night's not as dark as you think. Put your palm on the boulder. Is that a breath being held under your hand? Thank you very much.